The new Black Wall Street. Do it right, build wealth, live life, economic empowerment, real tips, insight on the new Black Wall Street. It's on the new Black Wall Street. Here's your host. The new Black.
All right, Grand Rising to you billionaires. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the new Black Wall Street. Is present to you guys the Money and Power Show, where we talk about money and the power. Money and the power. We've got a special broadcast set up for you today. We're going to be talking about the Lift Every Voice plan for Black men. Empower the DNC's plan to empower Black men. Do have a special guest with us here today on Better Life Tuesday. So hopefully you're ready to rock and roll here this morning. Of course, we're going to start with some motivation. So guys, as you guys are connecting, go and let us know where you're connected from, what city, what state, what country, what city, what state, what country. Also hit that like button, share button, all that good stuff as well. I'm trying to get that thing going for me as well. So, I'm your host, ERGJ, certified financial educator. Been doing this show for quite a while. And really apropos that, we have this time now in our country where politics has become very, very important. So I'm starting to kind of cover some of these things as best I can to bring more information out. In case you missed it, we did present a video on our Facebook page as it relates to what happens if a president does not concede. And so I think that is a very, very interesting video for you to catch up on and watch for your information, man. So go ahead and check that thing out for us here this morning. What's going on with you, Tisha? How you doing? Thanks so much for joining us from Mississippi. Again, let us know where you're connected from, what city, what state, what country. We're going to start with our morning motivation, guys. This is the power piece. Help you get your mind right, help you start your day off right. And this comes from the book Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis B. Kimbrough, one of the great authors of our day. And today's title is Stand and Deliver. Stand and Deliver. Our quote today comes from O.J. Simpson, who was the pro football great, who says this: the day you take complete responsibility for your life is the day you start to the top. The day you take complete responsibility for your life is the day you start to the top. Very interesting, because maybe he stopped taking responsibility. I don't know. Well, let's see what Dr. Kimbrough has for us here today in our passage for today. Let's read. Truer words were never spoken. We live in a society where many people refuse to accept total responsibility for their lives. They blame others or circumstances outside their control for their current situation. They look outward for scapegoats and seldom look inward to find solutions within themselves. The victim mentality is detrimental to success and happiness because it denies the tremendous power within each of us to substantially direct our lives and destinies. Success is not something that randomly happens to you. It is not an accident. Rather, success springs from within. It begins with the right mental attitude and is achieved through persistent action. It begins with the right mental attitude and is achieved through persistent action. If your business, your job, or your life is not going in the direction that you wish, do not point fingers. The problem is not your boss or your spouse or your employer. It is you. Simply look in the mirror and you will see the person responsible for your station in life. This is not to say that you have control over every facet of your life. You don't. But you do choose your response to each event, good or bad. Your present thinking and actions or lack of actions have brought you to where you are today. At this point, you might begin to blame yourself for all the opportunities you missed in life. Careful now. Blame is useless and will drag you down. Berating yourself isn't going to change past experiences. Instead, begin with a clean slate and focus on what you can do now to move in the desired direction. Focus on what you can do now to move in a desired direction. Now, I would simply say, as I have, struggled with this every now and then at points in my life, determining what that desired direction is so important. And I think a simple question is, what is it that you want? And what's very interesting, many people can't answer that question. They haven't taken the time to think about what is it they want, they desire, they want to create, want to build, want to grow, want to have. They wake up every morning and just move about without having any sense of direction. I hope I'm not talking to anyone that has lost direction in their life today, but simply try and find an answer to that question. What is it that you want for your life, for your family, for your community, And that can help you to drive towards action that you can actually focus on. And here's our affirmation of the day, something that you can repeat to yourself as we read through this thing. You repeat this a couple times from our affirmation for today. You can repeat after me. I will now take responsibility for my future. I will now take responsibility for my future. Again, our affirmation today, we'll do it one more time. Something for you to take away from today's motivation. I will now take responsibility for my future. What's going on with you, man? That is our morning motivation. Mark Daniels, Wichita's in the house. Thanks so much for joining us. Ms. Yvette Goodrich, Boston, Massachusetts in the house. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Again, on the Money and Power Show, we are going to get into our discussion on the Lift Every Voice plan, or that's a target to help empower Black men. So we'll get through as much as that we can today, but it is Better Life Tuesday. Want to bring in my guest here today, Mr. Dr. Logic Weathersby, man, joins us on Tuesdays. What's going on with you, brother?
I'm doing well, family. How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. We're Wakanda forever. Thanks so much for joining us, man. What's your thoughts, man, on our motivation for today?
Man, so I'm sitting here doing the affirmations too, and my affirmation was, from this moment forward, I'm taking more responsibility. I'm taking more accountability. Man, I made that leap about 9 or 10 years ago where I really took my life seriously. So it's just next level, brother. I appreciate it because he's telling the whole truth. Most of the time, people would be like, "It ain't me. It ain't me." So everything happened to you was nothing to do with you, right? So no, I'm totally with Dr. Kimbrough. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, man. I found that that power piece, man, of really kind of starting the day off, man, getting yourself amped and motivated. It really makes a difference in your day. I think it really helps people to set proper mentality as they begin to carpe diem or to seize the day. That's right, Mr. Goodrich. What's going on with you, Miss McLam? Thanks so much for joining us. I forget what city you're out of, but thanks so much for joining us today on the Money and Power Show, man. We are going to get into, I sent that thing to you yesterday, and we'll get into that when we come back. We have to take our quick break, and we'll get right into the money, man. We'll get right into this thing, man. Short break. Let me see if this thing pops up for us.
Oh, yeah.
All right, beautiful people, man. Go ahead and shop back, buy back by checking out theblackbazaar.com, www.theblackbazaar.com. Shop back, buy black, support your very own. You can do that. Thanks so much for those that continue to support. We sent out some soap and all that stuff as well. So we do sell quite a few different things, for our people at theblackbazaar.com. As I said, guys, we're gonna get right to this thing, man. Taking a look here at do I have it? Take a look here at this. Biden here is the DNC plan, as they had set something for Black men and obviously for Black people in general. But I want to start by looking at what they have for Black men. Very interesting to me is that we have number one. The reason why I want to go through this is because as we usher in a new president-elect, as we still got to go through this process, by the way. I think it's important for us to know what they stand for so that we can actually, hold them accountable. I think many of us don't really know what they stand for, but yet, it may be symbolism to many of us, which is okay. But change actually can happen and occur through policy. So what policies are they pushing? What's being hit? What's being stalled? And for things that you believe in, what you can get behind. It's got to be more. We have to become more vigilant and diligent than being, than with our fingers with typing. We gotta do more than that. So I figured, well, why not use this show to kind of go through some of the stuff so we can see and understand and even discuss what they propose to have on their agenda for us as this new regime may be coming into office. Secondarily, I wanted to start with the black men because we have this whole narrative that's out or that has gone out from people that demonize black men for however they choose to vote, whether it was for who you wanted to vote for or not. I think it's absolutely despicable because I don't feel like we should promote voting and then also try to dictate who you vote for. And then leave you, then say, well, you hate black women. I mean, we heard all types of stuff. I mean, it just gets ugly during election time. But we're gonna try to get to the facts and get to what we have here today. So this is the fact sheet from Joe and Kamala and their ship towards empowering black men. Now, I will say a lot of this is still holistic, being that it includes the black community. But they wanted to kind of, have some add some addendum that is going to go straight to black men. So we're going to start with their plan to invest in the black community. The first thing, of course, that we probably know they're going to get back to expanding access to affordable health care, which was the Obamacare plan that was in place when Biden was vice president. It says building on Obamacare to ensure access to high quality, affordable care, including by providing Black Americans with new public health insurance options and lowering their health care costs. I would say for me, the only thing I love the Obamacare plan. The only thing I didn't like about it was that it was something that was kind of forced. Like you have to have insurance. If you don't have insurance, then you will get a penalty and taxes and stuff like that when you file your taxes. That's the only thing I probably didn't like about Obamacare. But providing options for people who generally make less than the other races, and that's across the board for blacks and or brown or Latino or whatever. I think is a wonderful thing. I mean, we don't need sick people, getting sicker. We need them getting healthier. What's your thoughts on Obamacare?
You know what? I love that how depending upon who you're listening to, it's Obamacare versus the Affordable Care Act, or whatever they want to call it. But I love the idea. But like you said, it's the implementation that is always the challenge, because sometimes the implementation does more harm than good. And that's one of the reasons I love that we talk about money and power, because you can't just have money sitting in an account. You can't just have money stacked up for yourself. There is some action that comes with wealth. There is some action that comes with wealth. You almost become obligated in some sense to do something because you got it. So I'm glad that we are making it a topic because it's key. It's key. Like you said, if our folks are getting sicker, then we can't build.
Absolutely, man. What's going on, Tony Seawright, man? How are you doing, man? Cleveland, Ohio in the house. Hey, creating jobs for black men. Say, hey, creating millions of good paying jobs through a historic infrastructure and clean energy investment, and ensuring that new high paying jobs reach black communities. I love this is interesting. I love the thought here. First, some things I point out here, guys, is as I read through this, I'm also looking for opportunity as well.
Yep.
So we're talking about two main things that they're going after is infrastructure and clean energy. That's those are two big topics or two big industries that would seem to have a positive impact from Biden and Harris coming into office. And this seems to be where they're going to focus most. But then they're saying that, hey, as we move into these areas, I don't know how you're going to ensure that these jobs reach black communities. That's the part that confuses me because it sounds more pie in the sky than it does a plan. But I would wonder what they have in store to ensure that these jobs reach black communities. And also what's interesting, Brother Wesby, is that as we kind of looked into the contract with Black America, we heard that number 13%, where Ice Cube was saying, hey, at least a proportion amount of these opportunities, at least 13% should go
Right.
to 13% of the population, man. What are your thoughts on this take of creating jobs for Black men? Which again, I don't. Yeah, okay.
Well, here's the thing. On one hand, I'm relieved that it's even identified as a problem. I'm relieved about that part, because sometimes the frustration that we feel as Black people is that nobody even admits it's a problem.
Okay.
So I have some relief on that side. I have some caution because the way we came out of the Great Depression is exactly what this is looking like. It was infrastructure. That's where we got a lot of the highway system. That foundation was laid in the New Deal programs from the Great Depression. A lot of the electrification of the rural areas. That's how we got out of the Depression. So I don't know what's taking us so long to do what works, but that's a human thing where we stop doing what works. So I'm relieved. I'm cautious, but at the same time, I wonder how they're going to make this connection three sections down about college affordable, because I think that's the only way to ensure these high-paying jobs are accessible, because it is impossible to create more income without more education. And I don't mean necessarily a degree, but there is a level of training, there is a level of guidance, there's a level of a mentorship and internship that is required. So that's where I'm cautious.
All right, man. So again, this is the Lift Every Voice plan, the powering Black men. Say, hey, you're gonna provide startup capital for small businesses, opening the door for billions in loans and startup capital for Black-owned businesses. I just have heard this so much. I guess we'll see. We do have a Black-owned bank that is coming down to Fort. And here's my thing: if with this statement here, are they setting aside capital for particularly for Black-owned businesses, or again, do we fall into
Minority.
Huh?
Minority.
Yeah, do we fall into the whole minority? Because they already are saying, a woman of color for Vice President Harris. That's already the norm in the media. A woman of color, first woman of color. So this is
she's Blasian. Let's go there. She's Blasian. She's Black Asian. Let's go there, man.
So providing startup capital for small business. Again, this is something I wonder what that's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
As time goes by, we'll see. Okay, what percentage of these loans actually went to to Black-owned businesses, startup capital? I mean, it's all good for Black Lives Matter. It's all good to have these mantras and all this stuff going in place. When we start talking about putting money into our hands, historically we just haven't really seen it.
Right.
So
and then I kind of don't trust this part though, because just because you open the door, if you open the door, but it's a 8-foot step to get to the door. If I got to climb twisting staircases and jump through hula hoops and dodge bullets and all this other crap, metaphorically, to access the loans and the capital, that doesn't help as much. Oh, well, the door was open. 1% got access. Yeah, but this 1% got approved, but 99% didn't. So, yeah.
So reforming criminal justice, guys, is the next point that they have on the Lift Every Voice plan to empower Black men, creating a national standard on use of force for law enforcement, end incarceration for drug use alone, and support automated record sealing for certain nonviolent crimes. Which now this is something I think can be done in a sense. I don't know about the national standard for use of force, but the end incarceration for drug use alone. That would be awesome, and that's for anybody, I think. And and record sealing, for certain nonviolent crimes, I think would be great as well, because there's certain, some crimes that shouldn't necessarily need to be known, I guess, by
the public,
potential employers or something like that, where now you're blackballed out of being able to provide for your family because you have some record that was really nonviolent. I mean, I don't know what those certain nonviolent crimes would be, but yeah, I think that would be good for criminal justice as a whole, not necessarily. Now, I guess they're saying, I guess proportionally, we got more black men that go to jail for these things and are blackballed for these things than other groups. I guess that's what they're saying in this portion here. But I think that'll be good for all.
Well, well, watch this. And even creating the national standard on the use of force is not impossible. If you pull a weapon, it's because he had a weapon. If that were the national standard, I think that will be generic enough where it fits across the board. But at the same time, there is some real, the old folks say, put the foot to the fire, so to speak. We recording everything now, which is better. But at the same time, the
body cams don't work.
well, I wouldn't even talk to body cams. I'm talking about people, and people are always with their phone. They always with their phone. And the recordings never show. Well, rarely do they show where the suspect pointed a gun at the cop. Because if you saw that, then now I'm okay with you using force. So if that's something generic like that was put out there, that could be done, but that don't mean it would be done.
I know this next point, man. You really got something to say about this, making college affordable. This is really what popped out to me when I started reading this. I was like, interesting. Making all public colleges and university tuition free for families earning under $125,000, forgiving all undergraduate tuition-related federal student debt from public colleges and universities, historically black colleges and universities for debt holders earning up to $125,000, and investing $70 billion HBCUs and minority-serving institutions. Again, so this is three or four different points within this one point here.
Right.
Making public college and university tuition free for families earning under $125,000 a year. And then, forgiving of student debt for debt holders earning up to. So if you make less than $125,000 in a year, you can have your student loan debt forgiven. What are your thoughts? I mean, what are your realistic thoughts about it?
Trickery.
Let's call it Affordable College Act. I don't know.
Trickery. Tom's foolery, because this becomes the numbers game, because it's not the tuition by itself that is the problem. See, people think that it's $50,000 a year at Morehouse. That's too much for tuition, but it's not just the tuition. Yeah, at Morehouse, the tuition is like $30,000, but then when you add on housing, fees, books, technology, that, and so I think what's really going to happen here is, the tuition is free. That's $4,000. But now housing is going to double. I think it's going to be a money swap. Well, the charges these charges are still due, but those charges are free. Yeah, but because college is too much money, it's too invested in so much. And even though we are at a cross point with higher education, it's not going anywhere. It's been around for 2,000 years. It's not going anywhere, but it's going to look drastically different. And so maybe that means that there is another set of GPA requirements. If it happens, trickery comes. No. And then to forgive, it says forgiving all undergraduate tuition related debt. Okay, thank you for the undergraduate. That still saves me 85, 90 grand, something like that. I'll take it. We just got to see. You just got to see. And invest in $70 billion in HBCUs. Money always has strings attached.
Yeah, I would love to know your thoughts here. Those that are watching us live here today. This really popped out to me when I read this, and I was just like, at first I was like, the doability of this. Like I think I stopped at the whole free part. But then I get to the whole forgiving student loan debt. Like if you forget, I know that sounds great, right? Let's forgive debt, but that debt was supposed to be paid back to an institution that is supposedly investing in the community in which they serve as well, from the debt that's being paid back or from the interest that's being paid back. So I wonder, who does that fall on? Because for those institutions that were waiting to receive that money back so they can then do other things with it. What happens for them?
And then just because it is forgiven, that creates a tax situation. I don't play. I tell the whole truth. That's going to create a tax situation. I'm in the same boat. I've got $450,000 in student loans, and by the time I get done paying for 20 years or 22 years, whatever the number is, the remaining amount will be forgiven, and I know it's going to come back and bite me in taxes. So we've got to understand that there is still going to be a reaction, even if this action is implemented. And most folks are not ready to pay taxes on extra $100,000 because that's 20 grand. And everybody's going to be on payment plans with the IRS on taxes. I'm just saying that's what I foresee. If that works to any degree based upon what's in writing here.
This is just this 125,000 number, man. We don't really, coming out of college, right? What would be the term as well? Like, when you come out of college, your first job is not $125,000 job. I mean, it's normally what, 50, maybe 75,000.
Yeah, somewhere between 40 and 60 grand. That's kind of,
like, where is this? This just seems. I mean, again, I love that. I love, to put ideas out there. I just hate when those ideas just seem to be so far fetched. That is this really something that you can go after, or was it something that we put in? We wrote down so that we could appeal to people, and they could get behind us, even if regardless of how doable this is. I just don't. Now the part that this investing $70 billion, that's something I could probably say I could hold them more accountable to. Because you put a number on what you were going, what you and your administration would put into these institutions that serve the Black community, man. But Mark just said institutions are already receiving tax abatements and subsidies paid by taxpayers. Money should afford students debt relief. Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, but. Some students debt relief and all students debt relief.
Not the same thing.
Two different things, right? I mean, I know everyone has their own situations, and there may be some situations that obviously are more extreme than others, but it just seems far fetched to me.
But watch this. Here's another piece of language, and I guess I should put this on for my kids tomorrow or today. I still got to teach today. Notice it says free for families earning under 125,000.
Right.
The wording doesn't say households. The wording doesn't say individuals. No. They're saying families. So maybe there'll be a little provision for individuals. I don't know. But the focus is on the families because that's the core voters. That's the core voting block a lot of times. Yeah, the devil is in the details. I want to see. I want to see how this breaks down a little bit. And then the same thing with the homeownership one. Yeah, great. The tax credit it sounds great. So that means everybody's going to buy a house in December like we already do. Because that's the only way to get the tax credit for that same year. So that's a great idea.
So increasing Black home ownership, man, by offering a $15,000 down payment tax credit for first-time home buyers, and creating a new public credit reporting division, the Commercial Financial Protection Bureau, to give consumers a government option for a credit score that seeks to minimize racial disparities. What?
So that says that the government is going to create a credit score. Wait, hold on. Let's back up. They're not going to create a credit score. What this says is that the government will look into creating a new credit reporting division, aka a credit bureau.
Right.
And the only way for us to get a credit score is for there to be a mechanism tied to what is provided to the credit bureau to create a credit report that you can get a credit score from. My challenge with that is the government has always relied on business and industry to do what it didn't want to do because it's too messy. And that's what's been the credit game for 110 years or something like that, that the private sector has put all this together and the government has just put laws in place to manage the private sector. So now for the government to become it,
that could be a problem. Creating a new public credit reporting division to give consumers a government option. Now, here's the question. For those that are watching, how many of you guys would like to have a government option for your credit score. You know what I mean? Like they're saying, hey, we'll create this. Now, this is something that could really be we can really hold them accountable for. You say, hey, you when you came in office, you're going to create a new public credit reporting division. Where is that division? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's something that can be easy to say, hey, did you do this? Did this happen? Or if it didn't happen, why not? Why didn't it happen? Right? So you're going to create a new public credit reporting division. Now, if we look into the other portions of this plan, we'll understand that this reporting division that they're creating is also to include things like rent and utilities into that score, so that the people that's been paying on the things that don't normally affect their credit score can have hopefully some positive feedback from positive impact from those things as well. So this is very interesting. How many guys would be excited about a government option for your credit score? Obviously, it's something that normally comes from your Equifax or TransUnion, and it's one other one out there. I forgot what it's called, but Experian. Where are the credit reporting bureaus that we have right now? But if the government were, will we even trust it?
Wait, but let me go here. So most people don't understand that the FICO score is from the Fair Isaac Company. That's a private entity. The new credit scoring model is called Vantage. It's called a Vantage score. That was created by the 3 credit bureaus. So now if the government gets in this space, the government is going to provide the competition, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But like you said, how can we really trust the government? I mean, because at some point the government becomes too big, too involved, I don't know.
So $15,000 down payment tax credit first time home buyers. Again, but they're saying they're going to be looking to create a new public credit reporting division. Let's see here, man. Help Black men create opportunity and wealth. Let's see here. So this is talking about the racial wealth gap, opportunity gap, and jobs gap. So Biden and Harris will provide the Minority Business Development Agency with $5 billion in annual lending and investment authority to ensure capital flows directly to minority-owned businesses and investments in critical infrastructure, including the Black communities. Right now, the federal government gives away about $25 billion in loans, of which Black-owned businesses only get about $750 million. So they're saying the loans that are given out from the federal government, they're going to ensure through the Minority Business Development Agency that minority-owned businesses get more of that money, which is interesting. So that's something I think that could be followed. Right? Did the Minority Business Development Agency get it, that should be public knowledge, I would imagine, $5 billion in annual lending.
Man, and I just pulled that up for the first time.
Yeah. The Minority Business Development Agency?
Well, I will be on this side because I need some money because my business is critical infrastructure. Right.
And I would hope that as soon as we see something like this, if we haven't heard of it before, then we go look it up if we are a business, man. Like that this exists. And there may be an increase of cash flow into this agency. And as you're looking at the site, what does this agency, not what do they do, but what are some of the highlights and some of the things that you see? So what are you seeing on the site?
Well, they've been around since like.
Is it a bit much?
No, I'm literally just going through it. I mean, they've got so they've got American Indian and Native Hawaiian stuff. They've got entrepreneurship for formerly incarcerated persons. These are some of the grantees. Global Women of Color Economic Empowerment, Minority Growth Equity Funds Initiative. So they're doing some stuff. But I think the challenge has been we didn't know that they was doing stuff that we get access to. Because when I tell you I'm coming with my hand out like this because I know I'm critical infrastructure. And I know I need some funding too. Praise the Lord. So I'm gonna go back to it because that's a lot. It is a lot.
It is a lot. So Minority Business Development Agency, guys, again, that's an agency that's out there. And looks like this our vice president-elect will be increasing the funding for that particular agency. Create millions of good paying jobs for all Americans. Okay, there we go. Including to revive American manufacturing and build our nation's clean energy future. and modern sustainable infrastructure by here, which Black men represented those millions of jobs. That's just too vague for me.
Represented.
Yeah, represented. Right. Yeah, that's you didn't really say much right here. You could have left that out.
Look, hold on, watch this. And this is the report. Well, we are so happy that there has been a 57% increase in African American men working in these industries. Yeah, but it was only 30 up front. So you go 57% above from 30. We done added 17. Ooh.
Yeah, but again, also in this thing, basically they're also saying, hey, where we want to take this nation, which as I think as each new leader comes into place, we must adjust as citizens of that country, right? So American manufacturing, again, clean energy future, right? Sustainable infrastructure. So those are three areas. They're saying, hey, here's what we're going to focus on as leaders of the free world. Manufacturing that stays here in America, which very interesting to say that. Which depending on how you deal with these free trade agreements, right? Because if you enact the free trade agreements back to where they were before Trump began to kind of try to take some of that stuff down, then you're reopening, right? Manufacturing to take place and be imported back into the country. So reviving American manufacturing is a slippery slope when you start dealing with free trade agreements. In other words, and what is a free trade agreement, guys? It's basically saying that, hey, my agreement with this country says that I can bring stuff in for free, and I find that very interesting because we got to pay the ship; they can bring it in for free. That doesn't make sense. And there's no tariffs, no taxes, or anything like that. So, but that's all about the importing and exporting system.
Yep.
Ensuring Black men. That word "represented" is very key there as well. Represented. We're there. We're in there. We. It's almost like being represented in the NFL. We got some representation, even if it's not proportionate to our contribution to society.
Tokens.
All right, let's keep going. Increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour again, which would give nearly 40% of Black workers a pay raise. Wow. So, so this is something again that can be tracked, right? Is the minimum wage $15 an hour by the time if you come to office in the 4 years that you're in office? Did we get that to happen? Did we increase minimum wage federally? Not just from a statewide perspective, and states that choose to do that to $15 an hour. That's something that can be tracked very easily. So again, it's us knowing what they are going after and what we can really track and hold accountable for is a great thing.
Yep.
In President Trump and Republican war on labor make it easier for workers to unionize, collectively bargain. Black union members earn nearly 14% more and are 9 times wealthier than their non-union counterparts and are more likely to have employer-provided benefits like health care and retirement. Are you, as a teacher, you have a teachers union, is that correct?
No.
Oh, okay.
So there is a national teachers union, some content area teachers unions, but there is no teachers union in the state of Georgia. There are teacher organizations that do some bidding on educators' behalf, but it's not a real union. This is not like the pipe workers. No, it's not like IBEW, the electrical workers nationwide. It's not that.
Okay. This next point, they're saying the same thing they said earlier: help Black men buy a home. This $15,000 tax credit. I'll skip that. The next thing, created a public reporting credit division. We just covered that. But it does kind of come into the credit scoring doesn't have a discriminatory impact, and by accepting non-traditional sources of data like rental history, utility bills to establish credit, mentioned that already. This last point here, set a goal that disadvantaged communities disproportionately harmed by environmental injustices, including many Black communities, receive 40% of the benefits of the Biden-Harris administration infrastructure and clean energy spending. 40% of the benefits from this infrastructure and clean energy spending. So again, Biden-Harris administration is saying we're going to be spending money in infrastructure and clean energy. That's where we're going to spend money. That's so important for us to understand and appreciate, especially if you are, getting into the economy. You're understanding where money being spent. This goes a lot of ways, right? For one, you can put yourself in position to get some of that money if you offer any of these, and if you are bringing something in this area as it relates to government contracts and things like that, because this is where they're going to spend money. Also, seeing where they're going to spend money or seeing where they say they're going to spend money can say, okay, well, here are the industries that should have a great impact and companies that's in that industry that should benefit from the spending.
Yep.
In that particular area as well. So knowing this and understanding this is where they want to go, or this is where they say they want to go as leaders of the free world can help put you in position to adapt to where money is going to be spent. Because where money is being spent, that means it's also being received.
Yeah.
Receipt is the profits that to do the work that come for those companies that receive that money. Man, what's your thoughts?
No, totally right. Totally right. One of the things I always tell people when they do a coaching call with me, I say, hey, the first work is the preparation. And we know that they're coming in. So let's prepare early so we can jump when it's time. I love it, brother. I love it.
Man, so we do have a couple more points here, man. We are going to get into tomorrow as we continue to go through the Lift Every Voice plan from Biden and Harris to empower Black men. And I will say this, guys, this what we're reading here it's not really like it's indirectly targeting empowering Black men. It's not directly doing it. It sounds like they just put that up at the top and they still keep giving the same stuff that they've been given from the whole plan itself, but they set aside a section and say we're gonna strike this for Black men. But I don't really feel, as a Black man, I don't really feel like they really put this together, particularly for me. I don't feel like that at all. I don't know how you guys feel, especially if you're a Black man out there, as you're reading this jargon, this lingo. Do you really feel like this was a target to help Black men, or more of I don't know, more of a ploy to increase voting from Black men? I guess you could say. I'm not quite sure. I don't really see it as something that's really targeting Black men. But anyway, well,
look, at least it's got some stuff in there that really can help.
Yeah, absolutely. But don't give me. I'm just so tired of politics, man. Let's dive into this thing and really see, what really is here for us, and kind of go from there, man. What's your final thoughts here today on the Money and Power Show, man? Better Life Tuesday with Dr. Weathersby here. Join us here today, man.
I'll leave everybody with this. We are teaching you something we are showing you something that you may not have been taught. It's called, the scripture says, write the vision and make it plain. We know Biden and Harris are coming. And most of the time we have not, as a people, taken the time to prepare for what we know is coming. So we're showing you all, if you've never been taught, a way to do this, because you have to get it done. That's what makes life better, when there are fewer surprises, fewer stressors, and fewer situations, less shit to come up to mess up your life. That's what we're showing you. So take advantage of it, but don't let it stay just with this Biden plan. Start using it with your household. Start using it with your life. Start planning what you want. Evan mentioned earlier that Dr. Kimbrough said, take accountability. And that's what we're showing on a bigger scale. But on the bigger scale, it doesn't work if it's not in your life. And that's what's going to help. Better life. So all I got.
Man, absolutely, man. I would also say, guys, read through this stuff. One thing that they say about us is that we don't go through and read this stuff, and so my goal is just to make us aware and bring it to our attention so that we can kind of go through it. If we go through it together, then we have kind of tackled it. What are your thoughts? Well, as you go through these things, and how can how should you adjust for the new regime as the new regime is starting to come in? And then last but not least, and then as we learn and after we know, then we can truly hold people accountable to the positions that they had prior to them coming into office. Yep. This is the New Black Wall Street, bringing to you guys the Money and Power Show. I'm your host, ERGJ, and I want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village.
Yes, sir.
It starts with us let's build as we climb together. We all we got, beautiful people. Matter of fact, we all we need. Thank God, that's more than enough. Till next episode, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
The new Black Wall Street. Thanks you for joining the show. We gave a lot of great tips, but it's time to go. Take the knowledge we shared, hope you use it and grow. We will see you all there at the next episode of The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street.